is Joy News Prime.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the most authoritative news, Joy News Prime. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Ahead of the bulletin tonight, the Privileges Committee concludes hearing of contempt case against World Health Organization scientist Professor Alex Dodu. Meanwhile, Paramount Chief of Big Traditional Area Togbe Gabusu breaks his silence on the Ebola vaccine trial, calling criticisms by some citizens unwarranted. Chief Justice inaugurates permanent courthouse and then some medium security prisons to give remand prisoners easy access to justice. And the Ghana Chamber of Mines calls on government to increase its cash cows through diversification and integration instead of excessive taxation on mining industry. We are also available across Europe via the ABN channel 235. We'll be back shortly. Let's begin with Parliament, because the Privileges Committee of Parliament today continued hearing of World Health Organization scientist Professor Alex Dodu's contempt case. The atmosphere was similar to the first hearing, but what perhaps dominated proceedings were apologies. A representative of the Accra-based TV3 network also appeared before the committee to testify in the case.
The Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, TV3 network and the beleaguered professor himself all testified before the committee on the proposed Ebola vaccine trial. Professor Alex Dodu was apologetic when he took his turn to address the committee.
I would first and foremost like to state myself what my counsel has already stated, that I will never at any time or point disrespect this great institution of Parliament, nor indeed members of Parliament. That is not my style, that is not my interest. But to the extent that my words or actions or inactions have led to that, I would offer first to individual members and then to the House as a whole and to the good people of Ghana an unqualified apology.
Representative of TV3 network, Gabriel Bozompim, was also called to testify on their coverage of the Ebola vaccine trial, specifically the treatment of an interview with Professor Dodu.
Level of discourse, they would have edited it out. But at that particular time, we did not, editorially, we sat down, we discussed it, and we did not consider it as what has happened now. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, can I allow my counsel to do the apology for me?
Mr. Chairman, I associate myself with the apology that has been rendered by my learned senior on the other side. And I want to say that we continue to render apology for the exercise of editorial indiscretion.
The committee will present its report to Parliament when investigations are complete. Emmanuel, Joy News, Accra.
Meanwhile, a law lecturer, Professor Kwasari, has branded members of Parliament as completely ignorant for misinterpreting Article 115 of the 1992 Constitution to mean Parliament is immune from strong criticism. The US-based law lecturer told Joy News the caliber of reasoning exhibited in Parliament is embarrassing. He also described Thursday's session of the Privileges Committee as Ghana's day of political shame. Parliament has attracted public scorn on social media after what many believe was a waste of time grilling Professor Dodu over comments deemed contemptuous. Now on the phone lines is a member of Parliament on the phone, George Lowe. Good evening, Honourable. Many thanks for your time.
Yeah, good evening, Aisha, and good evening to our leader.
You have been criticized for misinterpreting Article 115 of the 1992 Constitution. What's your reaction to this criticism?
Well, it's very laughable, and I think that clearly the person who says that we have misinterpreted the law itself is not law himself. I think that Professor Asari is being childish, he's being unreasonable in all these things that he's doing. Why? Because, as you know, anytime there is a disagreement as to what the constitutional provision says, the forum where we do the clarification is the Supreme Court, where we have justices we have appointed to do exactly that. I am finding it difficult to understand why Professor Asari claims he's a lawyer of some repute, I don't know, but he's afraid to go to the appropriate forum to redress. It's only a coward of a lawyer who will behave in the manner that he's behaving. I am of the view that he wants to court cheap popularity, and we are not going to give him the opportunity.
But how do you respond to his accusation that you're just seeking to intimidate the public with your interpretation of Article 115?
Please, I'm saying that we are not interpreting Article 115. We are saying that that article gives us power to hold people before the Privileges Committee of Parliament. If Professor Asari is not cares to know, there is also Act 300, the Parliamentary Act. There are other standing orders. There are several other legislation that give Parliament power to do what they are doing. So if he's implicit is talking about that, so Article 1, I don't know what he's talking about. Sincerely speaking, I think that the prof should go and educate himself properly. I'm happy that my children or nobody would have to be, I don't know what he's teaching his law students. He is a disgrace of a law professor. And he will be better placed to go and seek interpretation if he is minded to be serious about this matter. I feel very bad having to reply in this way, but I think that we shouldn't give people the opportunity, to go around just throwing their weight about and shouting to attract some popularity. If his popularity is waned or something, he should go and look for a better way of finding it.
So what
Parliament will continue to do what it must do according to the laws of this country. If anybody.
So what is the appropriate channel, Honorable, to kind of speak with parliamentarians? For instance, in the case of Professor Dodu, who wanted to bring some expertise to bear, so that it doesn't seem like those people are usurping your powers.
No. We are not talking about usurpation of powers. What we have said in the case of Professor Dodu is that he made a certain comment. We have invited him to come and clarify his comments. He has come before the committee. After the proceedings, he has come to the conclusion that he wants to apologize. My
question, Honorable, is that what is the appropriate channel? For instance, Professor Dodu wanted to call on Parliament that, listen, this is a technical issue, so maybe there are ABC that you should understand. So what could have been the appropriate channel rather than going on radio and to seem like he was insulting parliamentarians?
Yes, there is a health committee of Parliament. Anybody who is minded to bring expertise to bear can write to the Health Committee of Parliament, can petition that Health Committee of Parliament. I'll give you one practical example. When people were not happy with Parliament, when we're doing the consideration stage of the Plant Breeders Bill, food sovereignty for food, Ghana and other NGOs, when they didn't agree with our position, they petitioned the Committee on Constitutional Legal. The committee and they petitioned the Speaker. The Speaker called the committee to hold on with the legislation for us to go into the matter and see if we can come to a compromise. That is the way to go. It doesn't lie in anybody's mouth to go, delegating the sanctity of Parliament on radio, on TV, and calling parliamentarians names. It doesn't augur well for our democracy. The way you cannot go to Supreme Court and insult the judges, you cannot do it to your parliamentarians. That's the situation and the state of the law.
Well, we've been trying to get Professor Asari to further explain his comments, but we find it difficult to reach him. Many thanks to you, Honorable George Lowe, for your reaction. Thanks so much. As soon as we get Professor Asari, we'll also put him through for some questions and explanations. Let's move on to some health issues, because the paramount chief of B traditional area, Togbe Gabusu, has finally broken his silence on the Ebola vaccine trial. He says the criticisms by some citizens were unwarranted. There's been immense pressure on the paramount chief to speak on the vaccine trial since it is scheduled to take place in the capital of his jurisdiction, Hohoi. Speaking to the media at Hohoi on the sidelines of a public forum on the phase 1 of the Ebola vaccine trial, Togbe Gabusu clearly stated he was never uncertain about the trial, explaining traditional authorities in his council had been sensitized and were satisfied.
Togbe Gabusu revealed he has received several calls accusing him of allowing for his subjects to be infected with the Ebola virus and had to explain that was not the issue. He, however, entreated residents in and around Hohoi to attend all public forums on the Ebola vaccine trial to be enlightened on the process of the trial to avoid misconceptions.
The inter and intra-fighting among ourselves, that is what Owidobo said. Should be put aside. If we will continue fighting among ourselves, what we are chasing, we will never get it. I must be blamed. Meaning I don't blame. Yes. Let us stop the infighting. I have tried it once. Okay.
Some residents who attended the forum also shared their views with Joy News.
Authorities have to intensify education on the Ebola vaccine trial. Perhaps go on radio stations to reach a wider audience. If the trial wasn't to be okay, the authorities wouldn't have brought it here. So I'm pleading with residents to stop the discrimination and allow authorities to do their work.
There is a lack of education. There is always a misconception. That is what has been leveled around. Presently, the explanation here, the questions that answer, the reactions have actually cleared our mind. And I believe the nation must be ready, the society must be ready to accept that, because it is there is nothing evil about it. That's my personal view.
However, the principal investigator for the Ebola vaccine trial and Vice Chancellor for the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Fred Binka, explained that only 12 volunteers will be needed for the trial instead of the initial 36.
Each one will recruit 36, and competitive recruitment is very interesting. This is how the companies get efficiency. So if you are not able to recruit, your other people, like what has happened in Ghana, Kenya has recruited the 72. Done. Okay? So when I contacted them, they said, okay. I think the minister also did contact them that this whole thing, if we don't handle it well, it's going to affect science in this country. And that we should do the right thing.
Ebola is a high risk of death disease which has killed between 25 to 95% of infected persons. Its vaccine trial in Ghana has generated so much controversy, leading to some political appointees, including the health minister, appearing before Parliament to answer questions relating to the trial.
The Chief Justice has refuted media publications suggesting the Justice for All program is releasing unreformed prisoners back into society. Georgina Thodora Wood was speaking at the inauguration of the first ever permanent court house at the Nsawam Medium Security Prison at Nsawam. The facility, according to the Chief Justice, will help remand prisoners easily access justice, which is now at their doorstep.
Latest in a string of reforms meant to help decongest Ghana's prisons. The courthouse, according to Chief Justice Georgina Theodore Wood, will have the status of a high court and will sit on daily basis depending on the number of cases available to be heard. One other measure ongoing to decongest the prisons is the Justice for All program. The program has been criticized by a section of the public for releasing unreformed prisoners into society, but the Chief Justice refutes those claims.
Permit me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, however, to indicate our surprise at recent negative publications aimed at denigrating the Justice for All program and, by extension, the judiciary, which publications wrongfully alleged that the Justice for All program releases armed robbers into the public domain to commit further crimes targeted at law-abiding members of the society. We note with concern that most of the publications are wholly untrue.
Acting Commissioner of the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice was however disappointed that Ghana could not sponsor such an innovative facility.
I believe that we are seeing the rewards of good leadership. And we want to see more of that, your leadership. Again, I would have loved to hear tribute paid to the nation for the first High Court in prison. But unfortunately, only for £25,000, we have to keep credit to not our own country, but somebody else. That, your leadership, I'm sure, take the shine out of this important program. And I hope that we are learning lessons from this, and that we'll begin to prioritize some of these things and put them into practice. I want to thank you, your leadership, for the good work you have done. Thank you.
The leader of convicted inmates praised the project and requested the program be extended to prisoners serving their terms.
It is our hope that with the commissioning of this court today, all agencies in the criminal justice delivery would come on board to ensure that cases are expeditiously disposed of. I believe the police in particular would aid the judiciary to facilitate the process of education. Your Ladyship, a humble request, however, is that this court may be mandated to review cases of inmates who had already been convicted and wish to appeal or have their cases reviewed, so that equally the risk of transporting appellants to and from Accra could be reduced.
Let's stick with the Supreme Court because the court has dismissed a case brought before it by 2 students of the University of Ghana over its decision to charge road tolls. According to the court, it has no jurisdiction to make any pronouncements as the issue of taxing was beyond its remit. It also said only Parliament had the power to determine the issue. In February 2014, 2 students of the University of Ghana, Ernest Victor Appel and Musa Mustafa, filed at a suit at the highest court of the land, urging it to declare the action of the university to charge tolls as unconstitutional. They were praying the court to perpetually restrain the university and its agents from charging motorists who plied the university's roads. And still to come, I have in this bulletin, there are calls for plastics to be banned in the country. We'll bring you more after this break. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. The Ghana Plastics Manufacturers Association and stakeholders are recommending an immediate ban of plastics between the range of 20 to 60 microns. This they believe will effectively deal with the plastic menace. The stakeholders made the recommendation at a technical meeting with the Environment Ministry to find ways of managing plastic waste in the country.
The stakeholders meeting was to revive and make new inputs into recommendations made by the technical committee working on sustainable means of dealing with plastic waste. Some recommendations made include upgrading the capacity of waste recycling plants, intensified public education on waste segregation, among others. The Minister of Environment, Mahama Yarga, says the technical committee will in 2 weeks announce a temporal ban on some categories of plastics.
We will take all the recommendations, we will implement them, subject to some of the revisions that have taken place in this room. There's a proposal to ban, and there's a debate between 20% and 30%, depending on whose technology you are applying. We will find out what technology exists here in Ghana to decide whether 30 or 20 microns, okay? 30 or 20 microns. So we'll look at the technology and then we'll take a decision, and this must be concluded within 2 weeks. We will not go beyond 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, you will hear an announcement from the EPA as to whether it will be 20 microns or 30 microns. I think there's an agreement that it shouldn't be 60 microns. So we would also, and if we start from either 20 or 30, we will be consistent with the initial recommendation that it should be a partial ban, working towards maybe a future where if we have an efficient waste management system, there may not even be a need for a ban. And if His Excellency the President, as he drives around the rural communities, he doesn't see plastic all over the place, he might not direct me to place a total ban. But for now, there will be a partial ban, but it will be between 20 and 30. Whether it will be 20 or 30 will be announced in 2 weeks' time after we've done all the scientific analysis to take a decision between the two.
The Ghana Plastic Producers Association is also urging for the production and usage of biodegradable plastics, which they say is safe and environmentally friendly.
Today there have been technology, there have been improvement, and I'm telling you, if you go to some manufacturers, they've improved in everything that they do. So even the 20 or the 30 the minister is trying to suggest is even bad. We are talking about, okay, if you think the forms are disturbing, let's adopt biodegradable options. That will degrade by itself within a month or two, and everything is fine.
So are you ready to go into the biodegradable?
We even started advocacy way back in 2012, and as of now, we are even talking about BUSAC. We wanted to source for some funds to support us to do more talking, meet some interested groups so that we can push it up. That is our option. We think that is the solution to the plastic littering in Ghana.
For now, a question that remains unanswered is what has happened to the polluter pay principal and the 65 million Ghana cedis accrued from the fund meant to manage plastic waste in the country. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News.
Meanwhile, the Association of Plastic Producers and Sachet and Packaged Water Producers are also demanding the immediate release of the environmental levies collected and meant to deal with waste management in the country. The national president of the association, Magnus Nunu, says the release of the funds will greatly help not only to deal with plastics waste, but also to improve sanitation.
2011, there was this fund that was set up. They call it environmental tax, and then they started charging at the port of entry all plastics that enter into the country attracts 10% tax, purported to really handle this plastic waste in the country. And it's been hanging in there, and we're pushing and we keep pushing and nothing keeps coming out. So I believe that something is going to come out this time for us to use it to manage the plastic within the system.
Let's do housing, because several Ghanaians have in recent times complained about the hike in prices of building materials in the country. For these Ghanaians, owning a dream house has become expensive because, according to architects, materials used for buildings are mostly imported. To halt this trend, government is set to introduce a policy that will compel architects in the country to use locally manufactured materials to put up buildings. This, according to Deputy Minister for Works, Housing, Water Resources, Samuel Eduse, will reduce the cost of putting up a building. You're speaking on PM Express.
Yes, we've talked about that because the cost of the building materials also affects the final cost of the housing unit.
Obviously.
So that we are encouraging that people will use local building materials. You get it? Okay. So now, if you go to Boygatanga, there's a prototype there that they use sand. They even didn't use any, you won't see any wood or any metal. It's just sand. Just to provide a very nice building.
Well,
you get it? And it has a lost, yes, it can last for, when you go to Navrongo, there's a church there, they use mud to put up that church. It's over 100 years.
Okay.
Just mud, no wood, anything, it's over 100 years.
I see.
You get it? So when you use the mud or this thing to put up, it has a very long shelf life. I mean, so it lasts. You get it?
The weather
so we are encouraging that.
So we don't need to import.
So we don't need to import. So what government is doing is that we have decided that most of our buildings we use the local building materials. Okay. You get it? It's becoming a policy.
Has this education started?
It's becoming a policy that if you can get 60% of our building materials from the local sector, it will also help us. You get it? So that is what would apparently go a long way to reduce the cost of housing units.
Mr. Eduse also says plans are far advanced to roll out a building code that will ensure house owners leave substantial spaces between their houses to aid planning for basic amenities and provisions.
If you have a community where buildings are scattered over, you get it. There's a building here. When you come out, you are meeting somebody's.
If you're not careful, you enter somewhere.
Yes. When you have buildings scattered like that, it creates a problem. So we have building code, by Building Research Institute that they have also done that. We have reviewed it, and there's building regulations that we are also now looking at it. All those things are going to enforce how we are going to space our buildings. People are now exposed. We get a lot of information with innovation of the material that you should use for construction and all those things.
Okay.
And we are taking all that into consideration. If you go into the National Special Development Framework, the framework that is to ensure that some of these things are all captured. You get what I mean?
Yes.
We take into consideration how the kind of buildings that we should put up, how to upgrade slums.
Okay.
How to space buildings, make room for roads, because some people have been built in the middle of a road, but they don't know.
Stay tuned for the full interview right after the news. Let's get on to other stories because you are a lover of fish. You may not get to enjoy it in about 5 years from now. A recent study shows Ghana's fish stock has depleted due to exploitation. It cautions that unless measures are put in place, there will be no fish to consume in 5 years. According to the National Program Manager of USAID's Ghana Sustainable Fisheries Management Project, Kofi Agboga, over 100,000 tons of fish have been lost to the sea due to a number of unsustainable practices. Kofi Agboga said it is not advisable for fishermen to go fishing right after the bumper harvest. He was speaking earlier on the polls.
During what we call the bumper season, that is the fish aggregate to mate. And most fishermen, or even the women who process the fish, will tell you that if you open the stomach of the fish at that time, it is pregnant with a lot of eggs. Normally, you will not kill your pregnant goat or your pregnant cow. You allow it to give birth before. But during the bumper season, when we all go chasing this fish, that is when the fish is supposed to lay its egg. So we are proposing options that if it is possible, we find those critical periods that they lay these eggs to tell fishermen that, look, can you wait a while? The fishermen themselves know. If a farmer plants the corn today, he does not harvest it today. He allows the corn to mature before it harvests. Now with fishing, yes, they go every day, but must we go fishing every day? If you look at the options that we have, we are advocating for additional fishing holidays to allow the fish to rest.
From fish to chicken, Mr. Victor Pond, the president of the Ghana Poultry Association, says the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has acquired funds to deal with the spread of bird flu. This comes after the Ghana National Association of Farmers issued a statement alleging that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has run out of funds to combat the further spread of the flu. Speaking on the polls on Joy News, Mr. Pond added the funds include compensation for poultry farmers whose birds were destroyed.
There was a swift arrangements to destroy the birds there, but still they need some equipment in case of any further outbreak. I understand the ministry says they don't have money. I think it was said at the parliament when the ministry was addressing parliament. That was where this information came about. But in our meeting with her yesterday, we were assured that the necessary arrangements have been made. They've got some money which they will use to purchase the equipment.
Mentioned that compensations are being worked out for affected farmers. What conversations have you had around that?
Yes, yesterday it came out, and that one too, the assurance came that they've had money to compensate farmers who are affected. But as to the modalities, it has not yet come out. I think they will call us at a round table for a discussion. That has not been done yet.
If you just joined us, this is Joy News Prime on Joy News on Multi TV. We'll be back with business.
Time now for business. My name is Abigail Adomakoinchi. Now, Delex Finance and Leasing Company has launched its Cash Dash promotion. The promotion targeted at government workers aims at encouraging people to access loans for their various needs. With each loan you take, Delex gives you a free cash. CEO of Delex Finance and Leasing Company, Ken Thompson, says this is a way of rewarding its customers for their loyalty.
The central bank's decision to keep the policy rate at 22% means there may be little or no change in the interest financial institutions charge on loans. Currently, interest rates of commercial banks hover around 30 to 33% on the average. Businesses especially are dissatisfied with the current rate, citing its negative impact, while individuals are just shying away from accessing loans. With a loan of between 500 and 1,000, you get a free cash of 25 Ghana cedis from Delex. The campaign offers up to 500 cedis free cash. Chief Executive of Delex, Ken Thompson, however, encourages government workers to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the promotion to better their lives.
So, in 2014, Delex has grown greatly. We started the year with 750 sales agents. We are now 1,500. We have over 30 offices around the country, sales offices around the country. Last year we served 21,000 people. We served 21, and that's just for people working in the public sector. So this promotion is to reward our customers. And it's not a lottery. Anybody who takes a loan gets cash. It's a free cash. So we call it a cash dash promotion.
Reacting to the central bank's decision to maintain the policy rate, CEO of Delex Finance and Leasing Company, Ken Thompson, said little can be done by the financial institutions to reduce interest rates if treasury bill rates are still high.
The borrowing rate, the rate at which Delex borrows, is a function of the treasury bill rate. Is the function of a treasury bill rate. So if the treasury bill rates come down, you will see that the rates at which we lend will also come down.
Delex is a wholly owned Ghanaian company licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana and has been in operation since 2006.
The Ghana Chamber of Mines has called on government to increase its cash cows through diversification and integration instead of the excessive taxation on mining. Chief Executive of the Chamber, Suleiman Koni, says too much taxation could disrupt and kill the hen that lays the golden eggs, he says. He was speaking at Media Interaction here in Accra.
Mining has been described as a complex business, and the industry needs to engage relevant stakeholders, educate and inform them. In addition, mine lives are planned alongside predictable fiscal regimes to ensure profitability and sustainability. At a media briefing, Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Koni, says even though the mining sector contributes significant amount to the country's GDP amidst difficult economic conditions, the sector is burdened with excessive taxation.
Government should consider itself as a commercial enterprise where it is, giving up something at the initial stages just to attract investment into exploration. And then in due time, when they start making money, when they start production, then government can tax. But to tax at the initial stages when it is so risky, because essentially what they are coming to do is to help us, identify the ore bodies for us to mine. Because government itself, we as a people, we are not able to put in the investment into exploration. And it's so high risk that for us, it begs the question, why would you want to tax something which is so risky? So all we are saying is that just go down on taxation on exploration just to attract the companies, because we are not willing to do that as a people, as a country, so that they can come in and come and invest their own capital.
He, however, regrets the mining industry has not been fully tapped.
We are concerned that we have not had the kind of vision which would really help us to leverage the mining industry to do the kind of things which other countries have done. I give examples. I talked about weighted carbon, my own experiences with the product. I talked about caustic soda, friend investors' challenges with that. I talked about grinding media, which could be produced locally.
The Chamber of Mines is also calling on government to take a second look at the fiscal regime that governs the mining sector, considering the current economic challenges the country is faced with.
And now to Telecom, the second month winners of the Tigo Yensong Kwa promotion have been handed their prizes. The ultimate winner for the month got a 20 kVA power generator with a full voucher worth 500 cedis, with others walking away with power inverters. The Tigo Yensong Kwa promo, which is aimed at supporting customers to cope with the current power crisis, has so far awarded hundreds of customers across the country with energy equipment. Tigo subscribers who win daily receive 3 kV generator with a 200 CD4 voucher. Customers are also awarded 98 rechargeable lamps and 38 power banks each week. A 20 kVA generator was up for grabs for the second month of the promo, and Janet Amwa is lucky to have won it.
In fact, I wasn't expecting anything of that sort, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
Your business?
It will help me in my business. In fact, my children use it in browsing, learning. I have families abroad, and it helps me a lot.
4 others also received 3,000 power inverter each. Tigo says such promos have impacted on the company's customer share.
If you take a look at Tigo's performance till date, and I can cast my mind back to last year, October, we've had a consistent growth, even in terms of customer market share and data market share. And it's been very, very steady so far for us. Now, if that indication is anything to go by, then I would say that we are drumming home a message which customers are accepting. Now, I don't want to speak about Tigo's performance so far only in view of the Yensong Kwa promotion. It started with a Drop That Yam campaign, which was a phenomenal one. And then we introduced a Drop That Yam chip, and then we came up with this. Now, what we realized is that our customers are always looking for innovation. And all the things we've done over the past 9 months or so have led us up onto this point today. And we've seen consistent growth so far.
For Tigo, customers can only keep making more calls, sending text messages while browsing on the internet to win more prizes on the Yensong Kwa promo. And that'll be all for business. I'm Abigail Adumakoinchi. Sports is up next Tuesday.
Time for some sports, and we'll start with politics. And an Accra High Court has placed an injunction on the Ghana Football Association to stop it from conducting next month's presidential elections. The FA is scheduled to go to the poll on August 17 tamale, but the plan has been scuttled by the latest ruling today. Lawyer John Quayson filed an injunction application and is seeking interpretation to why the district level elections and regional level elections wouldn't be held before the main FA presidential elections. Lawyer John Quayson has been speaking to Joy Sports.
We serve them with writ of summons and a statement of claim. Do you understand? But before the substantive matter is determined, there are issues confronting us. So all we had to do was to tell the court that yes, we have pulled the GFA before you for determination of certain issues. But then during the pendency of the substantive case, which hitherto might have taken 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, the law gives us the opportunity that in the interim, you could ask for an interim injunction. The injunction we have two, the interim one and then the permanent one.
What does this mean? Does this mean that you are stopping the elections from going ahead?
Of course, exactly so. When there's an injunction, it means everything kaput. Regarding the nomination, regarding the purported elections, comes to ground zero. Every living Ghanaian is happy with what has gone on. Why? Because even imagine that we do not have case anywhere. Ordinarily, the reasonable man on the street, okay, will come to terms that, why is it that the whole national election to elect president of no mean an organization that the GFA will be conducting nomination and election all within some short period?
Well, let's talk some Black Star stories now. And striker Samojan hit the ground running by scoring and creating a penalty in his debut for Shanghai SIPG after coming off the bench to shoot the club to the top of the Chinese Super League. The 29-year-old scored what eventually proved to be the winner with his header in the 80th minute of the match again. Well, good days there, isn't it now? But in Ghana, of course, one of our promising coaches, David Duncan, and also Kumasi Asante Kotoko trainer, has often been mocked for failing to win a major silverware, especially the league title. He came closer doing that 5 years ago with Ashanti Gold, but was denied on the last day of the competition. Duncan could reserve that after guiding Kotoko to the final of this year's MTN FA Cup. But the tough-talking coach reminded all about his trophy-laden coaching career.
Interestingly, I also consider the other trophies, that I have won of some repute, because I mean they have international dimension. If you win a cup against Sundowns, people say that kind of thing, but I don't think that I lose sleep over it, because if you play against Sundowns, if you recall 2006, we went there with a crowd of folk, South Africa Invitational Tournament. We took care of a team like Sundowns that was being coached by Gordon Ingerson of our coaches, and then again with Free State Stars, if you could win, Pakistan tournament, if you could win against the likes of Kaiser Chiefs, being coached at the time by a Tugra machine, those are the kind of competitions when you win, you realize that you've been to. You know how our league goes. Somebody plays against another person, it is another kind of thing. Some people do not want to play Champions League. So the dynamics, I don't lose sleep over not winning what you describe as major tournament.
Well, Coach David Duncan there. But let's talk about our coach. The Nigeria Football Federation President Amaju Pinnick has likened New Eagles coach Sunday Olise to Bayern Munich's coach Pep Guardiola. Now, Olise, ex-Nigerian captain, becomes the fourth player in the class of 1994 to handle the national team after Austin Eguavoen, Samson Siasia, and his predecessor Stephen Keshi. The former Juventus midfielder was presented to the media yesterday in Abuja, and the single question was whether he had the requisite experience to lead the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations winners. He had some answers. Some good news for Nigerian players. I'm sure Ghanaian players will want to hear this, that if you're playing at least in the Premier League, you can make it to the Black Stars. It's not happening. And players are moving, from one place to another. It's Robinho who is moving into Guangzhou Evergrande, also in China. Demba is there, and Asamajan is also there. That's it for sports tonight. I'm George Adejune. Have a good night. I shall join us with some more.
All right, let's do more on Joining Prime, because thousands of residents in Kumasi are living in fear due to recent unscheduled power outage. They are expressing concern about increase in crime and the poor show of night's business. Mahmoud Muhammad Nuruddin has filed this report.
It is 7:30 p.m. here in Kumasi, and residents are in the midst of what appears to be part of their daily routine now.
I mean, when I said I'm an electrical engineer, I think definitely the light is affecting me. And besides, not only electrician, I think you understand, not only electrician, I mean everybody.
On Saturday, a massive blackout hit the metropolis and left many wondering what the future holds.
My work has been greatly affected by the power crisis. I used to make 1,500 Ghana cedis a night staking the lotto, but due to the doomsaw, I barely make 800.
Night businesses are running at a loss because many people are not staying outdoors for security reasons.
All these power cuts have made me dispose my wares because they got bad. Lately, people are reluctant to buy because they say the prices are high.
It is 3 p.m. and people are idle because there's no light to continue with their unfinished jobs. The maximum supply of power for the Ashanti region is 240 megawatts, but the region now gets only 30 megawatts. This has left many areas and people without light for a number of days. Power providers say more load shedding is expected in the coming days due to shortfall in production.
Another reform choir of the Nsawan prison defied the Thursday morning rain to entertain guests at the inauguration of a court in the medium security facility to handle cases of remand prisoners. There could be a reason for the overexcitement, as a court operation will benefit most of the members of the choir. Here are excerpts of the performance.
In this world, there is sound with God's own heart. Oh, let the Asian words. Can I hear somebody? Somebody say Asian world, Asian world. Don't you shaking my heart, my body, shaking every bit of my soul.
on that resounding voices notes, we end the bulletin. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Have a great one.
This is Joy News Prime.